I'm Ryan Harding, and in this video we're going to talk about points and buying points on a loan and whether that's worth it and what exactly is a point and all those kind of things. So this is a common question that I get, and so we're going to start with this flyer here. So okay, so buying points. So let me, I think it's best explained by having a scenario here. So let's assume we're doing a $350,000 loan, okay? And let's assume, you know, these are the different interest rates that you can choose from. And now that's the first thing is a lot of times people wonder about interest rates and they say, hey, Ryan, what's the rate? And my typical answer is, hey, it depends. It depends on what you want to do for closing costs, okay? Because there's not one rate out there, there's multiple rates, and it depends on how you want to structure the loan and what you want to do for costs, okay? So for example, let's say the interest rate is 5.25, and at 5.25, let's say there's actually a rebate of 1 point, okay, which one percentage point would be $350,000 on a $350,000 loan would be $3,500, okay? So in other words, at 5.25, there's actually a $3,500 credit for that rate, okay? So with that said, that means there's no closing costs. Your break-even point's immediate. It's a good move, right? If your rate's currently higher than 5.25, I'd say, yeah, hey, it's good to refinance down to 5.25 to save yourself some money, right? Because interest rates are, you know, great. So over 30 years, you're paying about $345,000 in interest, okay? So now if you start there, you compare that to 5%. Let's say, hey, I also offer you 5%. You could also do that. There's no rebate there, so you know your costs are that $3,500, and you can see over 30 years you obviously spend a lot less in interest. You obviously saved that $3,500 many times over, okay? And your break-even point ends up being around 65 months. So is it worth it to pay $3,500 in closing costs to refinance? I would say yes, you know, if you're going to be there for at least 65 months. And the same thing applies to a purchase, right? So if you're deciding on buying a home and purchasing that home with a 5% rate as opposed to 5.25, the answer is, hey, as long as you're going to be there at least 65 months, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it to do that, okay? Then you can also see, so 4.75, that now costs 1%, so that would be $3,500 additionally in costs, okay? But it saves you an additional $53 a month, so 107 total, right? And then 4.5, you know, hey, that one costs 2%, but you know, you're obviously saving, you know, even more over time, okay? And so at the end of the day, is it worth it to buy points? It depends. It depends on how long you're going to keep that loan for. Not necessarily even just stay in that home, because you know, if you're going to refinance, you know, pay it off early or move before that 65, 66 month mark, then I'd say, hey, don't pay points, don't buy it down. It's not worth it because you're not going to recoup those costs in time, okay? And so long term, yes, it's worth it, you know, but in the short term, it may not be, okay? And so that's what you have to take into consideration when you're talking about rates and paying points and stuff like that, okay? You can always, instead of paying points, you could also just pay down principal. Instead of, you know, paying additional costs, just pay it towards principal, and that saves you money also, okay? Some questions to ask, you know, as you're trying to figure out what you should do. You know, will interest rates drop due to recession or other events in the next few years? You know, that's something to think about, right? So if you pay points and interest rates fall, you're going to want to refinance. And if you paid points, you're going to be like, crap, I should have done that, right? You know, because I spent a bunch of money on points. I didn't need to do that, okay? Will you want to pull out cash and refinance in the next few years? That's another question. Are you going to want to finish a basement or do some landscaping or build an addition onto the house? These are questions you may want to consider. And so again, should you pay points? It kind of depends. Obviously, if you're planning to move, you know, if you're going to pay it off early, and you know, going back to refinancing, you may have higher interest rate debt in the future that you'd want to pay off with a refinance. So all these are things to consider when talking about buying points, interest rates, on whether you're doing a purchase or a refinance. Buying points, the answer is it depends. And so ultimately, what I would say is, hey, that's what you have me for. So if you have questions personal to your own situation, hey, should I pay points, should I not, on this purchase or refinance, talk to me. I'm happy to help and help you craft this loan so that it's perfect for you and so that you're able to structure this how you want, okay? Thanks.